record. All right, we're recording. So the first part of the first hour, we're going to kind of go over the why behind the class, the assignments. I know that's why the majority of you come in week 1, so you know exactly what's expected of you on the assignments. And I know that you guys have an assignment due tonight, so you probably want to make sure you're on the right page for that. So we'll spend the first part of the lecture going over the class, the assignments, the why, and then the second part of the class will be an actual lecture where we'll talk about some of the week 1 content, okay? So like I said, if we start going over the assignments and you're like, whoa, this is a lot, just know that you can go back and watch it, the recorded session. You can go back and watch it before you start each of those assignments because I will go over all of them. Okay? So hopefully that makes you feel a little bit better. I know in week 1, anytime you start a new class, because Full Sail goes so dang fast, that a lot of times a lot of students are like, whoa, this is a lot, and feel overwhelmed. But I promise you guys, by week 2, Psychology of Play is the same routine each week. So by week 2, you guys will feel like you have a handle on it, and then the rest of the class is going to fly by because you're going to feel good about it. Okay? So a little bit about me, well, let's start with this, the plan. I already said that, what we were doing. But a little bit about me. I had a couple of you wonder if you were in the right section. You are in the right section if you have access to this link. But I am Brandy Cincha. I'm teaching a couple of the different classes, and then you guys have, I believe there's 3 or 4 other instructors that'll be with us, and you'll get to hear their voices over the next 3 weeks too. So I'm only teaching in week 1, week 2, 3, and 4 will be a different instructor. It's more fun that way. You get to interact with more of your classmates. Like I said, we have 33 students in here right now. You have 33 students. If it was just my class, you might have like 4 people to interact with. So it just makes a lot more fun, the class, when you have more students in the chat box and talking about shooter is good. All right, let's see. So that is me, my serious and my fun sides. There's my mom face you can see on there. Currently reading, that is not totally accurate. I actually finished The Compassionate Achiever over the holiday break, and I started reading a fun book. I'm reading, what am I reading? It's Gabriel Union's I Think We're Going to Need More Wine or something like that. So I just started that one, and that's pretty funny so far. That's a good one. I just finished watching all 3 seasons of Shooter on Netflix. So if you guys haven't seen that, I really enjoyed it. Unless you don't like shooting, it's definitely a sniper movie. It was based off of the movie. I knew Bird Box was going to come up. Everybody watched Bird Box but me. I wasn't home, and they have not stopped talking about it since. So that one's on the list to watch. And then currently loving bike rides with the family. Like I said, we've been having beautiful weather. We all got bikes. My children are now finally old enough to where there's no training wheels and they can go ride their bikes on their own. And so we've been doing that as family. And that's definitely one of our more fun things to do as a family. Outlander. You guys, there are so many shows on Netflix that I have not watched, so definitely throw me some in the chat box, or if you're in my classroom, even better, put them on the community board so I can definitely get a list of the good ones. And since you know I like things like Shooter, or I think I just went blank. I was going to say the last one I watched, and I can't think of it. But anything like that, definitely. No, Ryan, actually, we've been talking about that a lot. I guess Discord is something a lot of the other classes have been using too. So we're talking about getting one, but at this moment we don't. Dexter. I lost so many hours of my life to Dexter. So many. How many seasons was that? Like 50, I felt like. Yeah, so things like that. I definitely like those kind of shows. All right. Did you guys watch a lot of Netflix for the holiday break? I think you guys did. There's a lot of shows scrolling through right now. Oh, I did watch The Greatest Showman. That was awesome. That was a good one. And that's what my husband, if we're talking family time, I always think of family time as we're spending time together, we're playing a game, we're outside, we're doing something. My husband's version of family time is watching a movie. So there's definitely the difference there. All right, let me back up a little bit. Let me tell you about my professional background, you guys. So if you can't hear it by now, I know you hear this little bit of an accent. I told some of the people in the beginning of the session, I actually grew up in Oklahoma, but I moved to Florida in 2002, and we were a military family, so I lived for a little while in Alabama. I've lived in Texas. I have lived in Tennessee, kind of all over the place. And like I said, I've been in Florida since 2002, so I don't know what this accent is. We just call it the Brandy accent, but I always get asked, where are you from? As soon as I start talking. The students love to give me a hard time. In the campus classrooms, I do pronounce words funny, apparently. So if you catch some of those, go ahead. I am okay with you making fun of me, so you can definitely throw those words that I say funny in the chat box. My feelings won't be hurt. Whatever the case may be, my professional background, though, is in psychology. Before I became to Full Sail, which, by the way, January, I've been at Full Sail for 8 years now. But before I came here, I was a counselor for adolescents and their families. I worked at a nonprofit for 5 years over there. Came over to Full Sail, started teaching these classes, fell in love with Full Sail, and I've been here, like I said, for 8 years. I've taught a couple different classes here. I've taught interpersonal communications. I've taught professional communications and presentations. I've taught anger management workshops, taught behavioral science before we started teaching psychology of play. A little bit of everything, and absolutely very passionate about teaching, and especially about the content we have in this class. So I'm excited to kind of share some of that with you guys today. So before we jump into that, though, let's talk about play a little bit. There are some Southern accents. Do I really follow the schedule I am teaching? I do, Amanda. I do. It has definitely changed, and I'll talk about this when I get to the plan. It's definitely changed over the years. I mean, we've been teaching this class for 4 years now, and some of the things I feel like I really have down. It's a lot easier for me as the instructor because I'm reminded about all of this information every 4 weeks, and so I get a reminder. And I think a lot of these things we already know, but we sometimes forget. So I think it's a lot easier for me to follow them because I'm constantly being reminded about the importance of the research. So just like anybody else, I fall off and I have to start over and I have to reset. Absolutely. Definitely not perfect, far from it. And again, I'll share some of that journey with you, but I definitely try to practice what I preach. And if you are in my classroom, in my sections, then you've seen on the community board that I have put my plan and everything on there for you guys. The play part is hard. Absolutely, Amanda. We'll talk a lot about that today too. All right. Backing up a little bit, when you guys, and that was a good segue, Amanda, when you guys saw psychology of play on your schedules, I'm assuming there was probably a lot of what in the heck is this? Anybody? It's okay to be honest. I'm gonna tell you guys the truth here. I'm gonna tell you what happened to me. So I was teaching behavioral science at the time. I had been teaching it for about 3 or 4 years. They came to us and they said, hey, we have this great new idea. We want to take out behavioral science and we want you guys to start teaching a class called psychology of play. And I was like, what in the world is this? I mumbled probably the same things under my breath that you guys mumbled when you saw it on your schedule. I was like, what in the world is this? How do you teach people how to play? And why do I need to teach people how to play? Why is this important? And I think that once I read all that research, I have to admit to you guys that I really did fall in love with it. I found out it was a lot along the same lines with positive psychology, and positive psychology has always been my baby. So once I dived into the research and I just realized that a lot of the same concepts were being used, they had just coined it different terms, but they were definitely in alignment. And in the end, it's really all about just a different frame of mind. We're using play as a catalyst for making positive changes, and I could really get behind that. So once I found that out, I was like, okay, you had me. And so then I dove into the research. I am the biggest nerd, you guys. Anytime it's about psychology, I am constantly reading and learning, and I get excited. That's why I say I'm a nerd. I get so excited when new books or new research come out, and I'm constantly any of the instructors on the team will tell you that I am the one that is constantly diving into it. Like, you want to know what I read today? And they're like, yes, Brandy, tell us, please. And so while I know that that's all good for me, I love the stuff that gets me excited. You're probably wondering why in the world you need to learn about it. I absolutely have heard over the 8 years of being here that psychology is definitely not on the top of everyone's list, right? You either love psychology or you've had a bad experience with it. You're totally turned off by it. I get it. But I am curious if it's not, definitely not for psychology. I know that. Why are you guys here? Why did you come to Full Sail? What are we? Oh, I see some people who say, I love psychology. Yes, I'm excited. Let's see, game design, drawing, sketching. I'm a writer. Awesome. Game design, game design, game design, music business. I see game design, audio production. Oh, a lot of game design. See, you guys see all those game design people? Reach out to them. Make some connections. Yeah, so many gamers. I saw digital marketing. I see another game design, digital cinematography. I see animation, graphic design. I see another graphic design, game design. I only saw one writer too. Game art. Okay, here comes the game art. So a lot of game. Wow. Digital cinematography, software developer, music production. I want to be a writer and wanted to learn how to write certain things. Creative writing for entertainment was an amazing choice. Learned so much. Awesome. Game development. Trying to publish my first poem book. I'm a writer. I'm a singer. Computer animation. There is a lot of game design, whether it's game art or game. I'm a streamer. Yeah, definitely, you guys. I saw not. Yeah, there you go. Amanda said lots of talent, but I definitely saw a lot of people that should be connecting. Trying to be the next Fortnite designer. Brian says Fortnite's definitely happening in my house every single day. I've been playing all my life, loving this class so far, Tyler says. And see, and that's what always happens. There's always a big group of us that have, this is nothing new to us. We've been playing all our life. We've made sure that we have made time for our passions and our play, and you're just going to go along smoothly with this class. And then there's some of us that we hear this play and we come from the mindset of, no, you work, work, work. There's no time for play. This is what we do. And we hit a roadblock and we kind of can't get over that. So there's definitely going to be a continuum there where you'll see the different varying degrees. YouTube has been my hobby for ages. Oh, Sarah said, I used to hate Fortnite, but it's a bonding thing with my little bro, so I've hated it less in the past months. I thought you were going to say you loved it. Oh, there you go. There's you a Discord for everyone that games. Aw, Amanda, well, hopefully by the end of the month, it'll change. We'll find some balance. All right, so I see a ton of different reasons, honestly, that you guys are all here. And sometimes what happens is we get so hung up in that I already know I'm not going to like this, and I just want to get to the reason that I came here, right? I came here to design games. I came here to do graphic design. I came here to get into the writing. And you just can't see the forest for the trees kind of thing, right? So we're going to talk about first, I always like to start the class off with the why. So we're going to talk about why this class might just be useful to your career no matter what career you're in. Full Sail definitely had a plan when they put this class into place. And so obviously you will get out of this experience whatever you put into it. But I definitely like to tell you guys the why right up front. And so as I was reading your responses, and not even just today, but over the 8 years, there's always been a common theme amongst Full Sail students, and that is always that they are just looking for something more, right? They're looking for something more than just that mundane routine. They're following a creative passion. That's what's brought them to Full Sail. And that right there tells me that you guys are all players already. Even if that's not something that you feel like you're doing in your daily basis, on a daily basis, like Amanda said, you're looking for something more, right? You want to add more play into your life. And the hope is that the play will be the fire that kind of fuels your passion and your purpose. Okay, and so there's the other side of this. There's those people that are saying, but this is college. We're supposed to be serious now, right? Put all that play behind you. And so Stuart Brown would say, while there's truth in that too, he's not saying, Stuart Brown being the founder of play, a lot of the information that we will talk about in the second part of this lecture comes from Stuart Brown. But he always says that, he's not saying that you need to play all day, every day. That definitely gets in the way of productivity. So I'm just going to put that out there right now. Yes, this class is about play. We're going to play all month long. No, that is not what Miss Brandy said. It's definitely all about a balance. And what he's saying, he really is trying to remind people that just by indulging in a little bit of play every day, that's what's actually going to help your creativity and your innovation. If you take a second and I want you to think about those people in your life that are all work and no play. Got a mental image of somebody? It usually doesn't take very long to conjure some image up. Somebody said me. I saw sadly for sure my mom. I get parents a lot. Yeah, aunts and uncles, my grandmother. Burnout happens, absolutely. Former coworkers. So you guys have seen it. Those people that are all work and no play. Now, who wants to work with that person? That mental image you have created. Who wants to work with that person? Someone who, when I get this mental picture, I imagine the person that I'm thinking of. They were miserable. They hated life. They were negative all the time. And they were so negative. When someone gets that negative, it gives them tunnel vision. They can't see new and exciting ideas. You come to them with your new and exciting idea, and they're like, that's not going to work. We've done that. We don't want to change things. We're just going to go with what we're doing now because it's working, right? You guys have seen these people. You've been these people. You've talked to these people, right? Jesse said, that's my dad. Yeah. And they don't want changes because that means more work for them. And so what Stuart Brown says is that people who have joy or play, as we call it in this class, in their lives, they see things completely different. When you come to them and you say, hey, I have this new and exciting idea, they're like, hey, let's hear it. Let's talk about it. Let's see how we can make it work. And they want to make changes. They want to make things better. They always want to be innovative. They always want to be creative. They always want to see things changing, right? And so that's what Full Sail said. Full Sail said, we want our students to be able to see things in different light. We want our students to be these amazing problem solvers who aren't scared to think outside of the box, who aren't worried about coming up with these ideas and wondering what people are going to think. We want to create this safe space where we're encouraging people to be innovative and creative and to focus on their passions and to enjoy themselves and to bring joy to their life, to make sure that they're experiencing that. And so that's what this class is all about. It's about encouraging you to embrace that play side of yourself so that you can do exactly this. Brandon said, it's not work if you're having fun. Brandon, yeah. And work while playing is what I do. Awesome, Spencer. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of you that have no problem with this. You're like, this is not new stuff. What is she talking about? But I encourage you guys to be respectful because there's going to be a whole bunch of students who are really going to struggle with this idea because this is not the past mindset that they're coming into this class with. Okay? So, how valuable is play? The play research that Stuart Brown has done will say that the beneficial effects of just a little bit of play can spread through your lives. They say that your creativity surges, that your innovative ideas flourish, and all of a sudden that you can come up with these solutions to problems that you didn't see before. He also says that your relationships would be strengthened if you engage in play on a regular basis. Why would your relationships be strengthened? What do you guys think? Attitude improvements. Spencer says. Michael says it's going to cause bonding. Jason says you're going to be playing together, more interaction, bonding. Tyler says having fun together and forming that bond. Amanda says getting to know each other. Connor says bonding. Ryan says cooperation and all enjoying the interaction. Brandon says interaction. Andy says friends and opening your mind. Oop, scrolled so fast I lost it. Opening your mind to new things, bonding, better mental, starting new relationships, a new perspective on one another. Better mental health is what you're saying. Lightheartedness, connecting on that level helps you not just bond, but understand the people you are interacting with better. Nice. Yeah, and somebody said attitude adjustments or improvements too. Yeah, if someone's happy all the time, if someone is loving life and they're constantly engaging in the things that they love, you definitely want to be around that person, right? So definitely the more positive your thinking is, the happier you are, the better your attitude is, the more you're bonding with people, the more positive emotions that are going about. It's definitely going to strengthen not only just acquaintance relationships, but it's also going to strengthen your intimate relationships and your significant relationships, right? Yeah, somebody said living your best life. Yeah. All right, so all of these things that we talked about are all key elements in all of these creative industries that you guys have chosen here at Full Sail. And so Stuart Brown will argue that play is vital to our learning and to our success. And so that is the why, folks. That's the why this class came to be, to boost you that much more above the competition in your chosen industry. So while other students are taking whatever random psychology class, Full Sail said we want to do something different for our students. We want to give them a psychology class that's not being done at other places. And so that's why it came to be. And the last thing I will say about this is that play brings joy. Stuart Brown says people are looking everywhere for the secret to happiness. And he says this is something that is so simple that many people all over the world just overlook it. You know, there's these self-help books and the self-help podcast and shows and talk shows and all this stuff, you know, everybody looking for the secret to happiness. And Stuart Brown says it's just something that is so simple that it tends to go unnoticed, right? We just ignore it. And he says if you engage in the things that you love, it brings a feeling of joy or happiness to your life. And then that extends to all the other areas of your life, academic, professional, and personal. Okay, so that's the reason that we have this class, just to remind you of these things, especially right before you get started, really diving into some of your core classes. Of the stress starts to come, right? So hopefully providing you with some tools and some valuable reminders of some things that you can use along your academic journey. Brandon said came in late. We are at, it's 2:30. So you missed the first 30 minutes, just so you know when you go back and watch the replay. Happiness is fleeting, and that is why either some are no work and all play, or they can be too playful and not serious enough. We want to keep happiness flowing. Absolutely, and that's why he talks so much about it is an ever-evolving constant balance, right? We have our bad days and we have our good days, but just knowing that we are able to reset when we need to is what is key. Absolutely. All right, so we're going to kind of switch gears now that you know the why, and we're going to talk about the class structure and the assignments, okay? So for the class structure, these are kind of the topics that we'll be talking about for the next 4 weeks. So today we're talking about intro to play and play personalities. This is also what's covered in your readings. Next week we're talking about positive psychology, neuroplasticity, and John Medina's brain rules. In week 3 we're talking about collaboration and motivation. And then in week 4 we're talking more about mindfulness and stress management. And definitely that doesn't encompass all the concepts, but so those are some of the key concepts and some of my favorites, so you know what's coming. Will all this classes be, yes, they'll all, every week they'll be at the same time. Oh no, what happened to that slide? All of my slides. Are they cut off for you guys too? I don't like that at all. Yeah? Huh, I just used these last month. Maybe my Keynote didn't update. We will be fixing that after class, don't you worry. All right, but going back, I just want to give you guys kind of a breakdown. Hopefully this makes sense with that being messed up. A breakdown of what you have to look forward to. So I said that each week looks the same. So this is what I mean. So each week you have a weekly plan, which is due your Tuesday assignment, which is what's due today. You have your discussion board, which is 10% of your grade, and then you have a brain teaser, which is just your 20-question test, which is 7%. Each week's going to look the exact same. The only difference is in week 1, you have that E3, which I'll talk about in just a second, and in week 4, you have the post E3. That's only 1% of your grade, and that's automatic 100 as long as you click I've completed. And then the last part being your professionalism score, which is 10% of your grade. All you have to do for that right now is click that you've completed it, and that grade will get updated as the class goes along. I prefer to update mine at the end of the month, but depending on what instructor you have, the majority of them will update that grade at the end of the month. But as long as you do all your assignments, then you should have no issues getting 100 on that. All right, so we are going to actually look at the class platform. So if you want to pull this up and go through it with me, it might be helpful for you. All right, so I'm going to start at the top. You guys are already starting to ask questions about the assignments, and so I'm going to go through the assignments before I get everyone confused by answering these separate questions. And if you still have questions after I go through it, then please ask them again, okay? And you can also raise your hand too if you don't want to type it in the chat box, and I can unmute you and you can ask it out loud. But let me go through these first. Otherwise, we'll be all over the place and it'll be confusing, especially in the playback. All right, so when you pull up your class platform, you should see, hold on, this. If you're wondering why my mouse is moving, it's because I have a little control panel here for the go-to training, and I keep moving that out of the way of my slides, in case you're wondering why my mouse is moving all over the place. All right, so in week 1, you'll have first thing is getting started. Under your getting started, under this little drop down arrow, you'll have these 4 things, which is just meet your instructor, which is just a video so you can say hi to your instructor, or so your instructor can say hi to you, I guess I should say. Psychology of Play roadmap, that is just the syllabus and letting you know what the class is about. Troubleshooting and resources, those are just there if you're having any issues. There's a lot of resources in there that you can check out and save those for future reference. And then professionalism is the GPS, the one I was talking about, that is worth 10% of your grade. So if you click on that, everybody should have read the professionalism guidelines from orientation. And what we've done is just given you some of the highlights. So basically, you are going to get 100. It's 10% of your grade. You're going to get 100 for this as long as all your assignments are posted on time and you practice proper online etiquette. Meaning that you're just professional in all your communications with your instructor and classmates, okay? So if there's an assignment that you are not able to do, that you don't do, you'll have a 5-point deduction from your professionalism score, okay? So for every assignment that you don't do, it'll be 5 points. So like I said, this will be updated at the end of the month. The only thing you need to do is you need to click this Mark as Completed button just to let me and your other instructors know that you have read this, you understand it, and that's all you have to do, okay? Questions about professionalism? That's pretty straightforward. Excuse me. All right, so that is all for the getting started. And then the week 1, how many of you guys looked at all these activities and you were overwhelmed when you saw 40 activities? Anyone? Yeah, a little bit. It can be overwhelming going into it in the beginning. I will say that the majority of these activities are just things that you have to go through, read, mark as completed to say that you have read it, okay? And so definitely a lot of the overwhelm comes in the beginning, like, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do. But once you start going through each little activity and you get those little check marks, they turn to orange, you definitely start to feel a lot better. Okay, so I'm going, like I said, I'm going to go through the graded activities today. If you are feeling overwhelmed, you can always go back and watch each little bit of those instructions before you start that assignment. But I think after today, you guys will probably feel better about this. Oh, Chelsea, yeah, that was just us dividing up the sections. Yeah, absolutely. Ryan said one at a time and it will go quickly. And that's what I cannot stress enough is that when you look at it, you definitely get overwhelmed. But once you start to go through it one at a time, you're like, okay, this is a piece of cake. I got this. Okay. And we set it up like this so that it would be a lot less in each activity for you. All right, so we're going to go to the first. So the first one is the 1.0 community board. All the community board is a place for you guys to network. We post links on there. I've posted a couple videos on there. I post some examples on there, but that is not graded. It's 0% weight. You can just go on there and post a little intro or a hi or anything like that, and that will show that it's completed. Like I said, that's not mandatory, but I did notice that at the end of the week when all these things close, if you don't have your little orange check, I know that that will drive a lot of students crazy, and it won't complete your week one. So this will have an open circle and it drives students nuts. So definitely go through and at least complete the activities, even if you just post something simple on there to show us you've done it. All right, so the next thing that's for grade is this 1% weight. This is 1.1, the Essentials E3. So this is due tonight. So this Essentials E3, this is an assessment. Most psychology classes, you're going to have some type of assessment. It is not a personality assessment. It's just supposed to be a foundational assessment. We're talking about behaviors this month. We're talking about making positive changes. So they wanted to give you some kind of foundation to work with for students who needed that extra help in starting their self-awareness in the beginning. So this assessment is going to take a look at behaviors that you're currently drawn to. So all it's going to be is a huge list of behaviors, and you're going to check the ones that you are currently drawn to. Then it'll give you it's supposed to give you a baseline of kind of where you are at the beginning of the month. And like I said, at the end of the month, you'll take another one, and then you can see if there were any changes. You're going to receive some strength and some growth areas. So after you click here, you take that assessment, then it's going to email you some strength and growth areas. You have to use your full cell email to get the results, and these results are only going to go to you. I never see them. Okay, it's completely confidential. And so I, in all honesty, will never have any idea that you've even taken this assessment or what you do with it, or if you've read it, if you've read the strength or growth areas that they send you the report, unless you hit mark as completed. So if you go right now and you hit mark as completed, it's going to change to 100 and you have an easy 100, 1% of your grade. Okay. I will say that sometimes when students are struggling, when we get to that weekly plan, a lot of students struggle with with a lot of the push category. They don't know what to put in that. Usually, if you take this assessment, a lot of times you can find something on that student report that'll help you. Okay, so there's an idea for that. Amanda said, I almost checked off the whole list, and that's okay. And there are some students who say, take this assessment, and they're like, it was completely dead on. It nailed my current behaviors. I think it really was right. And there's some students who take this and be like, this is absolutely crazy. This doesn't sound like me at all. And so I will say that it doesn't focus on fixed traits, okay? It is just adjectives that focus on your behavior. It's definitely going to depend on the context you were thinking about when you check those adjectives, the mood that you were in, all of those things are going to play a factor. So I don't want you to take this and think that this is focusing on any kind of fixed traits or personality behaviors. Personality traits. Can't talk. All right. And like I said, it has to be your full cell email. It was almost insultingly accurate. Being truthful and honest me and nailed me on point since I am that shy girl. Yes, this is due today, Amanda. Okay. Any other questions about that? Fairly simple. As long as you've taken it, you just hit mark as completed and it turns into 100. If you didn't get your results, it's probably you either put in the wrong email, you didn't put in your full cell email, or it's sitting in your spam. Eastern Standard Time. It's set to my Florida time. Sorry, guys. I know that really messes with you guys on the West Coast. All right, so the next thing is the 1.2 live lecture. Obviously, you guys have all found this if you're here, but I will just say that once this lecture is over, what will happen is this will disappear. This upcoming trainings where you had to click here and register, this will disappear, and what will be here instead is after this is over, I will go and upload this archive to YouTube, and I'll actually just embed the video here. So you'll be able to see the video right here in this little area. Okay? Yeah, 9 p.m., Brandon. Sorry. All right. Now the next part is the 1.3 weekly plan. So we're going to move to that. That's the other assignment that is due tonight. So when I was talking earlier, we talked about it's all a balance, right? So the weekly plan that's due tonight, this is all about putting this idea of balance into action. And what we did was we started with the simplest idea. We know a lot of students don't like schedules, the idea of kind of, I'm a free spirit and I don't like to plan out my days and I like to do what I'm doing. And that's not what this plan is. So let me just clarify that right now, okay? It is not a strict hourly plan to break up your day and kind of put everybody on this same rigid timeline. That's not what it's about. What it is we just want you to look at these 4 different categories in your life. We want you to evaluate these 4 different ones and see where you are now. See if there's some things in your life that you want to make changes to or that you would like to try, because we hope that you take this opportunity this month to try these things. The good news is if you absolutely hate these ideas, you only have to do it for 4 weeks and then you never have to see it again, right? Actually, I take that back. I heard that some of the later core classes started implementing some of these later. So you may see this in some of your classes down the line. But for the majority of you, you only have to do it for 4 weeks. What happens is a lot of students at the beginning of the month have a lot of pushback to it, like, I don't know, I'm just going to write some stuff down. And then by week 2 and 3, they're like, you know, Miss Brandy, in the beginning, I was just writing stuff down. But now that I've actually started to do it, I really see a huge difference in the kind of emotional and mental impact it has on my day. So I definitely encourage you to really try and take advantage of this opportunity from the beginning, because at the end of the month, that's probably one of the biggest regrets that I get with the students in their final reflections, is they wish that they would have taken this a little bit more serious in week 1, just to see the full opportunity they would have gotten out of it for the whole 4 weeks. So there's my little 2 cents on that. All right, so let's start here. All right, so this is an example weekly plan that I have added to the bottom of the instructions. For you to get this, you'll have to download this right here where it says Work, Play, Fit, Push Week 1 Plan. That's the template. This will pop up and you'll just have to fill it in. Okay, so this is what it will look like. If you do not have an example plan on your instructions for your individual instructors, the good news is that you can just go back to this archive and you can pause it on here, and then you do have an example plan to look at, okay? But I do post this in my class. So let's look at the top one. The first category is work. So work, all we're looking for you to do is outline your top 3 priorities for each day. These can be anything that you want to have accomplished by the end of each day. And I do realize that sometimes you're at the beginning of the week and you're like, there is no way I can plan out the entire week. I get it. I usually am the kind of person, somebody asked me earlier if I follow this. I am the kind of person that I will put all of my important things for the week on a calendar that I know that I need to get done, and then I'll kind of go through and add extra tasks. But I definitely have my top priorities for each day. So here's the thing is if you're working, you can definitely put your work priorities, but we really encourage you to use this work section for schoolwork. You have all these different activities that you could use. You could really use this to craft an ideal schedule for you to get your schoolwork done. If you're a person who wants to have all your schoolwork done by Thursday or Friday, by all means put that in there. And maybe on Saturday and Sunday you're putting rest day because I worked my behind off and I got all my schoolwork done. That's fine. Okay? It's a template. It's a Word document when you pull it up, so you'll be able to write it on it. So once you click on this, it'll go to your downloads or open up, however you have your downloads set. And it's just a Word document, so you can write right on it, and then you just save it. The example here, I saved it as an image. All right, so in the work category, you definitely have to have your 3 priorities for each day. And like I said, if you want to write rest day, go ahead and write it. Just don't leave it blank, because if you leave it blank, it looks like to the instructor you didn't do it. Okay. Tiffany said, I didn't think of putting my schoolwork there. Yeah, and that's what a lot of people say. And like I said, a lot of you might have family, you have chores to do, you have a house to manage, you have side hustles to manage, you're doing all of those things. You can definitely go in and add all of those there. I got 90% of the schoolwork stuff done yet. Wow, James. I used to use the schedule to organize everything else I have to do. It was a very nice, awesome, James. I love to hear that. This really helped organize it. Look at you guys. Some of you guys have already done it, and you said you like it. I am excited about this month. You guys are on it. Yeah, and I see some of you guys are like, as we go through this, you might be like, maybe I didn't completely fill that out the way that I would have liked to. It's not due till tonight, so you can definitely go in and submit another one. Awesome. All right, so that's usually the easy part, right? We can usually all come up with 3 priorities that we need to do each day. We all got a ton of tasks and not enough time, so that's usually the easy one to fill out. So let's go to the, it doesn't sound like you guys have any issues with that. Do you guys have questions about the work section? If you do, you can ask them in this chat box and I'll go back, but I'm gonna move on to the play if not. All right. So play, we've been talking about this. So it's engaging in things that bring you joy, that allow you to reflect, clear your mind, and recharge so that you can continue to live a balanced life schedule. So you have all these work things, you have all these tasks, you have a job, you have a family, you have 1,000,001 responsibilities. What are you doing to de-stress? What are you doing in your life to bring you joy? It could be things you're already doing. I saw a lot of gamers, so I'm assuming there's a lot of video games being played. I saw YouTube, so I'm assuming there's a lot of YouTube being watched. I know there's a lot of Netflix being watched. And so all of those things can definitely go into this play section. I see painting, I see crocheting. That's awesome. Reading, absolutely. I'm gaming every day, Ryan said. Streaming D&D Magic, The Gathering. I like to draw, and I do, absolutely drawing counts. Call of Duty, hair braiding, paintball. What if we double up my fit is play? Absolutely. And there will be a lot of those that you guys will see to overlap. You know, a lot of people like to produce music and they consider that play, but that also might be a push goal because you're trying to get it done. There is really no wrong way to do this. We want this to work the best way for your life because we want this to be something that you can continue in the future. So you have to make that decision. You have to make that call. The only thing you can do that would be the wrong way is to not fill it out, because we're looking to make sure it's filled out and the questions are answered at the bottom. Okay? I see rock climbing. I see game art every day. Playing with the puppy. Absolutely. Stuart Brown talks about this so much. And again, it's something so simple that we overlook, that we do not realize the importance of not just the benefits, sorry, not the importance, the benefits that pets bring to our life. And they are a great de-stressor and they're a great mood and booster. So absolutely. They say children and pets, actually. I know some of the parents out there would argue that our children bring us stress, but they actually bring us a lot of joy too. Cooking, absolutely. Game, watch videos. I do art to relax at least once a day. It sounds like most of you guys have this down. Baking, absolutely. I see some of you guys networking with some artwork there. I love it. I usually produce music every day and trying to send ideas to producers who are interested to collaborate. Awesome. I will say, especially because Connor is talking about producing music, I think one of the biggest probably ways for you to kind of differentiate between play and push is if you are totally in the moment, you're enjoying the experience, just going through the process, like it's not about the end result, it's not about the end goal, then that is definitely play. If you are going through, it's still passion, you still are like you're mastering your craft, but there is an end result or there's a goal that you're trying to achieve during that session. I would think that that's more towards your push goals, because push goals are where you're trying to better yourself, you're trying to learn something, you're trying to master a craft. Okay, so that's the only difference. It doesn't matter to me which one you put there, but just something for you to think about to differentiate between play and push. Okay, hopefully that helps. Anyone going to struggle with play, or we think we all have enough to fill up 7 blocks of play? And here's the thing, even if you don't do them that day, no one's going to grade you on whether you achieve everything on your schedule on these exact days. All it is it's set in place, because what happens is you're like, man, I put something on my schedule for that class that I'm in, right? And I think I'm supposed to do something for work today. Let me go check that. You know what? I'm looking at it and I'm also supposed to make sure that I'm doing something to de-stress. So it just brings these things to the forefront of your awareness, and all of a sudden you realize that you start doing these and it becomes habit. You're like, I put that on my schedule. It adds that extra layer of accountability, and you realize that you end up doing it because you wrote it down, because you shared with somebody you were going to do it, me and your classmates. All of a sudden it becomes habit and you start doing it. Okay? All right, so the next one is the fitness and wellness. Now, the fitness and the wellness is the one that most students struggle with, right? So here it says investing in your physical health has numerous benefits on your overall well-being, not to mention a positive impact on your brain. And Ray believes that movement keeps ideas moving forward. Please note that meditation practices can be used if it's a better fit. Now, next week when we get to the brain and we start talking about John Medina's brain rules, he has a ton of research that shows just being in motion, not going to the gym, not working out, not doing these crazy 2-hour-long workouts. That's not what this class is about, but just being in motion, even if that's going for a 5-minute walk a day. He says that it actually helps your cognitive abilities, your creative abilities. It improves your impulse control. So we're talking about fitness and wellness. We're talking about the effects on your brain, not your physical. Obviously, it's going to translate to that too, but that's not the main focus for this class. And so sometimes when we change our mindset and we realize this class is not trying to make me all fit and healthy, which that's a great side effect, but we're working about the brain aspects and the mental aspects of this. Sometimes when you switch that mindset, sometimes it helps you a little bit more to kind of jump over that hurdle and be like, okay, well, if it's going to help that, maybe I'll try it out. All right. Oh, somebody's doing T25 every week. Absolutely. I love T25. I actually want to do his new one. What's the Transform? Was it Transformation 20 or Transform 20? He has a new one coming out. But absolutely. So with the fitness and wellness, like I said, I want you to start where you are. If you're someone who hates working out, you hate exercise, you hate any kind of movement, then start where you are. Maybe that's a 5-minute walk each day. Maybe that's a 5-minute walk on your lunch break, or a 5-minute walk in the morning or the evening. I do know it's cold outside, so maybe it's not a walk. Maybe it's a dance party in the living room for some of us. Maybe it's just getting up and stretching. Like I said, meditation does count. I know that there are some of us who may have some physical limitations. Some of us are in physical therapy, and maybe that's something that you're already doing. You could put that there. Maybe it's some of us don't sleep at nighttime, and we need to focus on getting enough sleep so that our brain is able to function well. Maybe some of us have some eating or some water goals that we want to achieve. We want to eat more vegetables. We want to drink more water. It can also include brain games, if there's different brain games that you guys like to play. It's anything about we're really focusing on the mental fitness. So hopefully that makes sense. And like I said, same thing. Here I put rest day. If you want to put, 3 rest days there, that's fine. Skateboarding. I know I put skateboarding in play, but maybe skateboarding is a fit or wellness. It can be anything related to your own mental or physical wellness that you want to try. Let me see if we have any questions here. I see Just Dance. I love that game. Oh, I saw somebody's. Water was on my template. I'm 70% Mountain Dew, and that needs to stop. I like it, Tyler. That's a beautiful goal. Quite a few months, you guys, I have had several students who have put that they want to stop smoking as a goal, and seriously, legit, at the end of 30 days, they have quit. Hard as heck to do, have to say, but the emotions that they express in their final reflection for being able to do that, taking the opportunity to do it during this classroom, is crazy. Can you imagine something that big a goal? And it's the same thing with, the soda, decreasing the soda or increasing the water. Simple things like that, you would not, it's just crazy the amount that you can actually do in 4 weeks. 100% tea and soda. And like I said, if you're fine with your fit and your wellness, you feel like you have a good solid routine going, then write what you're already doing. That's fine. If you're like Miss Brandy is crazy and I'm not doing nothing, that's your choice too. Just fill it out with something. All right. Any questions about the fit and wellness? Any issues or concerns here? Or do we feel like we're good here? Do you guys know what you guys are going to write here? I see a lot of soda. Wow, James. That all 3 at one time. That's hard. I wish you luck on that journey. See, this class came at the perfect time. Now you can continue to add that. Right, Brandon? That's crazy. That's some serious willpower right there. I'm not even gonna lie. You guys, coffee is my definite weakness. I don't have that many bad habits, but definitely coffee, and I am not giving it up. I already know that about myself. Yeah, and I consider myself pretty active and I'll be honest with you guys, it's been since I've learned this information from reading John Medina's Brain Rules, which is a very powerful book about all the things we can do about changing habits in our life and the effects it has on our brain. And it's written in very simple terms. So if you're one of those people that gets kind of dizzy when people start talking about axons and dendrites and those kind of things, it's definitely not like that. So I definitely encourage you to read that. I definitely love that book. But since I started reading all that stuff, definitely my fitness and being in motion, I've definitely stepped it up. Just having the information can definitely change your mindset. You guys are talking about iPads and computers, so I guess you guys are feeling okay about this because I'm confused what you guys are talking about. But you guys are working it out in the chat box, so I'm going to let you keep doing that. All right, so the next section being push. All right, so push is the area that you choose to learn and grow. Do something that might push you outside of your comfort zone. Challenge yourself to learn or experience something new. With that, I will also say, a lot of students are like, that is a lot for 1 week. So instead of putting a huge goal for each day, what I will just say is, for the push section, I like to think of it as, there's definitely probably for the majority of us, a million things that we have been wanting to do, but we can never find enough time. I've been wanting to do this, but I don't have enough time. I've been wanting to learn this, but I can't find the time. I've been wanting to start this project. I've been wanting to finish this project, but there's never enough time. So pick one of those things and break it down. So maybe Monday is you're going to start X, Y, and Z. And then Tuesday, you're going to work on that project for 15 minutes. And then Thursday, you're going to work on it for an hour. And Friday, you're going to work on it for 10 minutes. Or maybe it's just, I'm going to work on whatever project for how much ever free time I have that day. You can pick one project and kind of break that down into smaller goals throughout the push. I know I had a student 1 month who wanted to finish his book by the end of the month. And you guys, he gave himself a word count. Or maybe it was a chapter. I think it was a word count that he had to complete each day, and he finished his book at the end of the month. That's fantastic and crazy all at the same time. So again, it doesn't have to be something that big where you're writing a book. That was what he chose to do, but it could be something like that. If you're someone who wants to master whatever craft you are working on. Some people said they love drawing. Maybe you're drawing something each day. Maybe you're painting something each day. Maybe you're building a character, working on a character, and maybe the goal is to finish it by the end of the week. So how would you break that up each day? Hopefully that helps for the push goal. I'm sure a lot of you guys have some side hustles going on. Maybe you have blogs, maybe you have YouTube channels, maybe you have, I just went blank for the other one. What's the gaming one? Totally went blank. The game streaming. Twitch, thank you, Twitch. Maybe you have that. So maybe those are the things you're putting in your push goals. Sorry, thank you. I was like, Twitch, what is it? Mixer, absolutely. All right, so does that give you some ideas? Are you guys feeling better about push? Do you have any questions about this weekly plan, or you feel like you got it down now and you can easily turn this in by tonight? A lot better, Jacob says. Awesome. Feel confident. Easy. It is easy, so easy. Good, Brandon. And like I said, we're looking to make sure that it's completed and that you've answered these 2 reflection questions. All right, good. I'm glad everybody's feeling better. So what's your experience with goal setting? And after creating this plan, which area will be the most challenging for you or the easiest? So we're just asking you, after you've sat down and you've made this plan, we want you to do some self-reflection. So answer each question with a minimum of 100 words, which is about a paragraph. Once you've written a paragraph for each question, you're good to go. It's an easy 100, okay? Okay, James. I'm about to get to the discussion now, but go ahead. All right, and again, like I said, this weekly plan is due every Tuesday. So that's for the next 4 weeks. You're going to do 4 of these. The only thing I will say is that the weekly plan template does change each week, so make sure you download a new one each week because obviously the reflection questions are going to change each week. And we change the color too, just to make sure that you're doing a new one. Are we allowed to turn in each individual question this week separately? You mean like you'll have a post and you'll answer the question and then do a separate post for each question? Ooh, James, that would get really confusing on the grading side of it and for your classmates to read. I think I would prefer that you do all how many? All 5 of the, well, all 4 of the questions in the same post. Obviously, your image could be in a separate post. Absolutely. You can go back and edit it and resubmit it. Oh, I see, James. And I actually added in that maybe that you're not in my class, but I actually added in parentheses or what percentage do you expect to complete this week. So that may help for you to think about it like that. Like I said, I'm about to go over this right now. Oh, Jesse, for the weekly plan. Yeah, because the weekly plan is not due, this feedback box right here will still be there and you'll be able to just download another one. Okay, until the deadline closes, you are able to upload another assignment or to even edit your discussion board post. No problem, James. It may not have been on there. Yeah, if the example's not there, like I said, you can either take a screenshot of this now or you can always come back and watch the recording. I made this, so I put that one specific to me. And the one that you have on yours may look different. All right, so we are going to move along. So the next thing you have is the 1.4 reading and the 1.5 reading. You guys, this is your readings for the class. This is basically your book. Basically what we've done is we've taken all the research and all the books that we've read and we've summarized them into these two short readings. So down here where it says 1.7 brain teaser open book, all that means is that you can have these readings open while you're taking this 20 question test. It doesn't mean there's an actual physical book, okay? We get a lot of questions on that. Where's the book? It says brain teaser open book. It just means that you do not have to, the brain teaser is not timed. You can take your time on it and you can look up every single question. Okay? There's no reason everybody shouldn't make 100 on there. Cool? All right, so now we're going to go to the next weighted assignment, which is the 1.6 discussion. All right, so this is your big assignment each week. This is the most weight, the assignment that carries the most weight. So, oops, hold on, my headphones fell out. All right, so there's two parts to this discussion board that's due each week. Your initial post is always going to be due Thursday. Obviously, if you look here, it has the due date as January 13th. That is the Sunday deadline, and that is because your response post, right here, are due by Sunday. So the discussion board doesn't close until Sunday, but your initial post is going to be due Thursday of each week. Okay, that's why it's in parentheses in the title. So that confuses some students. So what your initial post is going to look like is a paragraph in this class meaning 100 to 150 words, okay, for each question. So number one is describe an activity that you find fun. You're going to keep it professional, meaning we want it to be PG-13. And yes, we have had those type of answers. That's why we've had to add that. You're going to talk about what you enjoy most about the activity and how you would talk others into trying this activity. So number one is just to get you excited about your favorite things. You're sharing one of your favorite activity with your classmates. You're finding a common bond with your classmates. And so as long as you're writing a paragraph there about whatever you find fun, you're going to get the points there, okay? Yeah, exactly. We wanted to start it off super easy. Oh, you meant seriously about the professional. Yes, you'd be surprised, Ryan. And then number two. So number one is all about you. Again, you can't really answer this question wrong unless you don't do it or don't write a paragraph. Question 2 and question 3, though, are about the concepts. Concepts meaning that they are ideas that are taken from the reading. So you'll actually need to do the readings before you can answer number 2 and 3. All you're going to do is you're going to, in number 2, you're going to identify and define at least 2 concepts from the week 1 reading. Now, if you are in, let me go to the actual discussion. Let me show you how easy I've made it. Week 1 concepts. Here is a list of all of the concepts, the majority of the concepts. It's definitely not all-encompassing, but the majority of them are there. Pick a couple of those, identify them, and define them, meaning that you're explaining them in a way that shows me that you read it and you understand it. So that's why I wrote this. Explain the information as if this content is new to me. Be the teacher. Teach me and your classmates these new concepts that you are excited about because you just learned them in the reading. You write that in a paragraph, bam, you get those points. The third one is provide an example of how these concepts tie into the activity you described above. So in number 1. Or you can give me some examples of how these concepts play a role in your life. We want example in number 3 because we want to show that you not only understood the reading, you can define it, but now you can give me an example of these concepts in action. That's basically what you're doing. Okay? If you need help with that, here is a example post that I have at the top of the discussion board too that gives you an example. So I've done it for you. Identify and define at least 2 concepts from the week 1 reading. Bam, there's my paragraph for that. Provide an example for each of these. Bam, there's my 2 paragraphs for that. Okay? I'm not trying to trick anyone. I've tried to make it as simple as possible. I've given you examples for basically everything so that there is no surprises for you guys. Yeah, Tyler, I like to add stuff to mine. But as long as you are doing this is exactly what everybody's looking for though. I do add a couple extra prompts on mine. Just because I've seen students struggle with this. So yours probably just doesn't have this. It doesn't have the things in the parentheses, and that's just extra guidance. But all these apply to everyone's across the board, okay? So number 4. So again, question 2 and 3, these are the big ones because these are the content-related questions. So if you scroll down here to your rubric, provides clear and specific examples in the initial post, that's 30 points. So those 2 questions right there are worth 30 points, okay? So make sure you do those. Now question 4 is what percentage of your play goals did you complete this week? You've just done your weekly plan tonight, so by Thursday, if you're doing this, probably not that many. So you can also talk about what percentage do you expect to complete. Has it made an impact on your week already? Do you expect it to make an impact on your week, including your mood, motivation, self-esteem, and relationships? Okay? So again, that means you're going to have 4 paragraphs here. 4 paragraphs, each paragraph being 100 to 150 words. I get it. Some people think that's a lot, but we're just preparing you for English because you got English class next. Okay? 5 paragraphs is an essay, so do we do a Word doc for it? No. Do not upload a Word document to the discussion board, okay? It needs to be posted directly on the discussion board, which is why this is written here. 2 reasons. Because a lot of your classmates may not have Word or may not have the same Word that you have, and for them to be able to download your assignment, read it, and then be able to reply is really hard for them. And it slows down the grading process as well. Okay, so make sure you're copying and pasting. Now, with that being said, if you want to write it up in a Word document and then copy and paste it onto the discussion board, that's a wise idea because you can use your spelling and grammar tools, and if something happens to the platform while you're in the middle of it, you still have your work saved somewhere. So absolutely you can. Yes. Yes, Chelsea, you can still. Yes, Tyler, you're not going to see my posts, but you have them here in the recording if you need to view them at a later date. All right. And then number 5 is just so again, with number 4, as long as you're writing a paragraph, there's not a right or a wrong answer for this question. This is all about you. As long as you're writing a paragraph, you get the points for that. Question 5 is upload an image of you engaging in play this week. So you put down your play goals, pick one of those things that you wrote down there, do it, take a picture of it, upload that picture. Bam, you get the points for that. Absolutely, Connor. Connor said for an upload an image of me engaging in play, can I take a picture of what I'm producing? Yes. It needs to be a picture of you engaging in play sometime this week. So you said you were going to do these things, do one of them and take a picture. It has to be something that happened this week. Okay? It's basically like your evidence saying, I did it. I did something on my plan. Any questions about this? Feeling good about this? Easy peasy, right? As long as you write enough for questions 1 and 4, you're getting the points. Question 2 and 3, you're writing enough, plus you're making sure that you're actually able to explain those concepts and use them in an example. Question 5, just a picture. All right, so you've done this, and if other people have done their initial post, you can go ahead and jump in and start doing your response post. If not, you might have to wait and come back. But the response posts do have to be done before Sunday. You actually have to do 2 response posts. So you're going to read your classmates' discussion post and make 2 response posts using this RISE model. You guys have all seen this. They use this in creative presentations, correct? Somebody tell me yes. Yes, okay, thank you. I already knew the answer. I was just making sure everybody else remembered. You guys had a three-week break there. All right, so basically you're going to make sure that you're reflecting, you're inquiring, you're suggesting, and you're elevating. Meaning you're reflecting, you're showing them that you actually read their post. You're inquiring, so you're asking questions. This is one of the biggest things that we look forward to because we want to make sure that you're engaging in a conversation with your classmates, and the best way to do that is ask questions so they have something to respond to. Another one is to suggest. So if they're struggling with something that they've talked about, especially since we're talking about the play goals, you can give them ideas for that. And then the elevate is something that you could maybe some ideas that you could ask them to expand on this in their post, or maybe some suggestions to help improve their post. Okay, I've given you examples for this too. And for those of you who are saying these are not on your discussion board, again, you can take a screenshot of these or you can come back. So I've given you some example response posts from previous students. So these are not mine. These are some that I've asked to borrow from students. So here you can do it 2 different ways. So this student chose to break it up. So they did reflect, inquire, suggest, and elevate. And then this student just chose to make it into an entire paragraph. Either way is acceptable. All right. So hopefully that helps. Oh, somebody has their hand up. James, did you want me to unmute you? I'm sorry. I've just now realized your hand was up. No, he took it down. Okay. I guess you're good. All right. Any questions about the discussion board? Are you guys feeling good? Again, here's your rubric. So when you get your grade back, we're going to copy and paste this rubric right back to you, where you're going to see what you could have earned, and we're going to put your actual grade right here. So 30 points is for answering all the questions in a paragraph, 30 points for the concepts, 20 points for the reply post, meaning 10 points for each reply post. If you don't make any spelling or grammatical errors, you get that 10 points. And then the last 10 points, oh, I didn't say this. So meets the initial deadline. If you make your post by Thursday, you get this 10 points automatically. Let's say something happens, you've completely forgot about this discussion board and you don't get to it. You wake up Friday morning, you're like, oh man, I forgot the discussion board was last night. You can still complete your initial post and your response post by the Sunday deadline. You'll just have a 10-point deduction here, okay? It'll be minus 10 points for posting late. But with that being said, if you respond to an extra classmate, meaning you respond to 3 classmates instead of the 2 that we talked about, you can earn that 10 points back. So there is a fail-safe in there so that if you do post late, you can still make full credit. Does that make sense? So as long as you post by the Thursday deadline, you're automatically got a 10. If you post after that initial post, that Thursday deadline, just make an extra response post and you can earn that 10 points back. Okay, because it doesn't close until Sunday. All right, a paragraph for each reply, yes. Is the 100 to 150 word count required for the discussion replies also? Yes, Sarah. And I don't know if I said this, but do you guys realize that if you start writing in here, it will actually tell you your word count right here. So that'll make your life easy. So that's your discussion board. Okay, so hopefully that helps. See, that's what I'm here for, Brandon. Little tricks. Now you know. And for you guys, if you're wondering too about the image, so once you click on this post, once you click in here, you'll get this little toolbar up here. If you just click image, you should be able to drag and drop or upload your image that way. Okay. Do we have to write the question and answer or just the answers? You can just write the answers. I would encourage you to number them so we know which one you're answering, but just the answers is fine. All right. And then the last thing we have for this week, again, I already talked about the brain teaser. It's only 20 questions. The last thing you have is the 1.8 bonus material. The bonus material is not mandatory. It is just extra reading material for those students who love this stuff and they want to dive deeper into the material. All you have to do is click that you've completed it. You're aware that it's there and you can choose to read it then or come back to it, but you can definitely close it out. There's a lot of times that students are like, I really love this stuff and I wish there was more information there. So that's why it's there. It doesn't count against you regardless if you use it or don't use it. You absolutely no, Amanda. She said, do you lose professional points if you don't do it? Nope. It doesn't count against you either way. It's just there for your own reading pleasure if you choose. Tyler says, that's me. I'm loving Linda too. Oh, I didn't say that earlier either. All of you guys as Full Sail students have access to lynda.com. And so if there is something on there that you've been wanting to learn or use or take a class there, you can add that to your push goals or even your work goals too for your weekly plans. Okay. Ryan said, how do we access it? If you go to your Connect and just do a search for it, it'll take you to the page to show you exactly what you need to do to access it and get into it. Okay. Connect is your answer for everything. Just do in the top, do a quick search and it'll take you to whatever page you need. I know you guys have a lot of questions in the beginning about where to find things. All right, so if we're feeling good about the class, I'm going to move into part 2. Tyler said, especially for game design, it has a lot of coding classes and such. Absolutely. Amanda, do you want me to unmute you? I saw you have your hand raised. Oh, Amanda, can you hear me? I saw you have your hand raised. I don't know if you want me to unmute you so you can ask something. Nope, Amanda's break. Amanda Morrow's like, don't unmute me. All right, I don't know what happened. Maybe she did it on accident. I always ask before I unmute people because I know sometimes people just raise their hand on accident. All right, well, hopefully everyone's feeling better about the assignments now, so we are going to jump back into this lecture. And if your brain is completely overwhelmed and you're like, there's no way I can take anymore, obviously, you know, you can take care of yourself and you can always come back and watch this at any time. Amanda says, if I have a project due, like making a flyer, can I use it for play if I like to do it even though it's work? Amanda, that is up to you. If you enjoy something like that and you would find it as a stress reliever or something that brings you joy, you can absolutely add it to the play category. That's so subjective with those categories that I'm not looking through them to make sure that they're my idea of play. I'm just checking it to make sure that you've completed it. And if that's your idea of play, by all means, go for it. You're welcome. All right. I really wish I had brought some water into this room, you guys. So forgive me if my voice starts to go out. I feel like I haven't talked in 3 weeks, and now I'm doing a lot of talking in an hour. All right, but we are going to move on to the lecture part of it. So we're going to talk first about how Stuart Brown defines play, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the play personalities. Again, all of this stuff is in your reading. And so for those of you who have already done the reading, you're going to be familiar with this. And for those of you who haven't, hopefully it'll get you excited to dive into the reading. And James says, I really suggest not overlooking the bonus material section. I agree, James. There's some really good stuff in there. And I know a lot of students have taken a lot of great ideas, especially from the Creativity Now book that's in there, especially if your passion is something creative related and you find that you have creative blocks a lot. There's a ton of brainstorming exercises and way to overcome those. So I couldn't agree with you more, James. I'm a little biased though, so take James's word for it. I love all of it. All right, so I talked about Stuart Brown in the beginning, but Stuart Brown, he's the founder of the National Institute for Play. He did the research, and he is the person that most of the information from week 1 came from. He also wrote this book, Play, How It Shapes the Brain, Opens the Imagination, and Invigorates the Soul. That's such a pretty title, right? So as we go through this information, I do want you to think about, because in psychology, obviously there's going to be a lot of theories. And as we know, with all theories, there are weaknesses and strengths to every single theory, right? So as we're going through this, and I want you to be thinking about if this information is in alignment with your own core beliefs. Just taking some time to reflect, like, that's not really how I've thought about it. And so that will help you in your self-awareness discovery, like where you struggle and kind of how, if it's matching with what you believe and what you can kind of do to overcome those struggles. All right, so Stuart Brown does say that it is hard to define play. Yes, Ryan, they're the same. They're the same. Sorry, I'm laughing at Andy's comment while I'm answering yours. They're at the same time on Tuesdays, all 4 weeks. All right. I completely forgot what I was saying. Stuart Brown says that it is hard to define play because it is so different for everyone, right? We were just talking about the weekly plan, and you guys all had different ideas about what play is down to you guys. But in doing his research, he really felt like to be able to share this research with others that he needed to be able to define it. So what he did was he narrowed it down to 7 qualities that he feels that people who are engaged in true play, what he calls true play, and I'll talk more about that, what they would experience. And again, these can also be found in your reading. So as we go through each one of these, I want you to think about your own ideas of play and what you do that brings you joy, and does that meet each of these qualities? Because he says if it's true play, then it should actually meet all 7 of these qualities. And I have a lot of students who would disagree with some of these. So those are the things that I was talking about. Keep in mind if these are in alignment with your own core beliefs, okay? So the first one being voluntary. So that's exactly what it says. When you're engaging in play, it's not required or it's not mandatory. So that's what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about kind of deciphering between your work or your play goals and your push goals. If there's a desired outcome or there's an end goal, is that really play? Is it voluntary? Are you doing it because you want to, or are you doing it because you need to create something? There's an end goal in mind. So he says you just want to do it. He says you can't make folks play. They have to want to do it. And so it's definitely inevitable, not so much in the online class, but definitely on campus when we're in the class and someone raises their hand, because I do a ton of activities in the campus classroom. And someone raises their hand and this is, Miss Brandy, if play is only voluntary, then how are you going to make us play this month? Right? And I always chuckle, of course. But so with that being said, I get that it's voluntary, but I'm also all of us as instructors, we definitely want to push you to play this month because of, like I've said in the beginning, some of us are uncomfortable with this idea. And so if we push you out of your comfort zone and encourage you to engage in some new activities, the hope is that you will begin to enjoy this idea of play by being pushed a little bit in the beginning, is that you will start to enjoy this idea and then begin to implement it into your own life voluntarily and kind of implement your own types of ideas. Okay, so that's the reason that we definitely push you a little bit, but then the hope is that you'll love it enough to where you start voluntarily doing it on your own and not just because it's on your schedule. Amanda said that. Then why are we scheduling it? I just looked up the chat box. Hopefully that was hopefully that was a answered that question. Can I get a note from my wife? Tyler, I hear that all the time. Is a lot of people will say I have to tell my spouse that I have to play for my class, so they put their class schedule on their they'll print it out and put it on the fridge for the family to see it, and they love it because it's the perfect excuse. Like, I'm playing because I have to for my teacher. But what I encourage you to do is, if you are in a significant, in an intimate relationship with someone, encourage them to make their own too. Encourage them to go through this activity and this experience with you. If it's a family, have the family do it too. Okay, I love that. I get that every month though. All right. So the next one being apparently purposeless. So apparently purposeless, it's done for its own sake. Whatever you're playing, there is no survival value. It's not done for practical value. It's only done for its own sake, which is why some people think it's a waste of time. I know my gamers, I've heard it month after month. A lot of my gamers say they've been told all their life, why are you wasting so much time playing those video games, right? Because to the outsiders, it looks purposeless. But we all know that it serves a very beneficial purpose in helping us relieve stress. And not to mention, a lot of you go on to pursue this as a career, right? But a lot of people on the outside looking in will say, no money comes out of that, no food's going to come out of that. Why are you wasting your time? So a lot of times play will look purposeless, but we all know from the research how important and beneficial play is. What are other things besides gaming that you guys can think of that to the outsiders looks purposeless? Video game. Brandon says, video games saved my life. I'm going to be a game designer someday. I play to learn what works and what doesn't to help myself. I've heard that numerous times, Brandon. Singing, absolutely. Singing brings so much joy to everyone, though. See, I have a different perspective on all these things. A waste of time is what my aunt says. Yeah, playing on the playground as children. Absolutely. It seemed purposeless, and little did we know that we were learning social skills all along. Internet memes, absolutely. What is that? Brings joy to so many, though, I'm sure, Lauren. My girlfriend does makeup as a career, and she makes money over it. Very absolutely. Making people beautiful. It's underappreciated. Pictures. She even says that yeah, video. It's funny because the gaming industry makes billions of dollars, and yet people think it's a waste of time. I don't know where I'd be without gaming. Absolutely, Jesse. I've heard that argument time after time. Same thing with Netflix and YouTube. Same thing. I'm sure, the reading is right up there with it too. Absolutely, writing. My family didn't always believe in my music interests. I play guitar and not the music they agree with. Brennan says, I play games for a living and it's just as time consuming. Sarah says, I've been told numerous times that missionary and humanitarian work isn't useful, but I don't know what I would do without it. It's not a waste of time, and to a couple of people you get to talk to and make them feel special and seen. It's funny, the different perspective that so many different people have. It always seems like there's a critic or a hater no matter what it is, right? To me, I think that would be one of the most beneficial things that you could ever do as a person. So it baffles me that somebody can find something wrong with all of these things. Oh my goodness. Amanda says, my son plays with Legos all the time and he builds some incredibly massive stuff. He will be a great architect one day. I encourage Legos like a mad lady, as a mad mom for real. I would buy my son whatever Lego ones he wanted because the amount of time and patience and creativity and critical thinking and creative thinking that goes into building those masterpieces is going to be such an asset. Absolutely. All right, so you guys got the apparently purposeless. All right, so the next one is, oh, I will say this, I forgot this. Stuart Brown, again, going back to what I said in the beginning, it is probably not play if its purpose is more important than the act of doing it. It is probably not play if its purpose is more important than the act of doing it. So play is when you're enjoying the process. That's why he says it's purposeless. It doesn't feel like it has a purpose because you're enjoying the process. All right. The next one is inherent attraction. So it's fun, it makes you feel good, it provides psychological arousal, which is just a fancy way of saying, it's fun. It's a cure for boredom. Those same guilty pleasures we were talking about earlier with the video games and the YouTube and the Netflix, when you're bored, those are the things that you always feel drawn to, right? Those are the things that will bring you back. That one's usually an easy one that students can find in their own play. The next one is freedom from time. So when we're engaged in play, we lose a sense of the passage of time. Anyone ever been here? Look up playing video games and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you're like, I swear it was just 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I see a whole bunch of oh yes. Absolutely. I think we've all been here and can see this, whether it's video games or watching Netflix or reading a book or just getting lost in any kind of, I've heard students, when they've been creating music or creating art or any kind of creation where you get lost in a state of flow, that you can definitely lose the sense of time. Yeah. So the next one is diminished consciousness of self. So this is similar to freedom from time, but it's different. Instead of losing a sense of time, you lose a sense of yourself. So you are so in the moment, you're such in that state of flow that you're not worrying about whether you look good. You're not worried about whether you look awkward, smart, or stupid. You're not worrying about yourself at all. You're totally out of your head. In imaginative play too, you might even become a different self. So if you've ever been playing a video game, you become that character. You've been reading a book and you take on those emotions of whatever character. You're watching a movie and you're so immersed into that movie, you become that person. You're out of your own head and you're not thinking about thinking. Anyone been there? Music a lot of the time too. Absolutely. Flow is a great book. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Everybody's like, what did she just say? That's the author of that book. You'll see his name when you guys get to week 2. We actually talk about his book and we talk about flow. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Went on stage for sure. Definitely. You're so into the performance and so into whatever you're performing that you just, it's like an out of body experience almost, right? Go into that flow mode. All right. So you're so immersed in the process, you lose yourself. Whereas freedom from time is you're so immersed in it that you lose a sense of time. So there's the difference there. So the next one is improvisational potential. So we are open to chance. We are not locked into a rigid way of doing things. We may even include unrelated elements to our play. And since we're doing things that are not in our normal activities, this is where that creativity and that innovation I was talking about earlier, this is where this is happening. So since we're allowing ourselves to play and we're allowing ourselves to improvise and make chances and we're open to chance, this is where we have those new behaviors, we have those new thoughts, those strategies. We see things in a completely different way. And this is where we might have those fresh insights because we've allowed ourselves to put those wall downs and we've allowed ourselves to just enjoy the process. And so once we're in that true state of play, this is where all that research that we were talking about, this is where it really happens, the new behaviors, the thoughts, the strategies. So these insights weren't the reason for playing, but they were the result of playing. Example, just think of the last time that you ever had that great idea when you were doing something completely unrelated. You were out playing basketball, and the next thing you know, you all of a sudden you created that character for your next game that you wanted to create. You were at the beach, and all of a sudden you wrote all the lyrics to that new song you wanted to write came to you. You were stuck in the most mental or creative block that you've ever had, and you got up and did something completely unrelated, and bam, all of a sudden your next best idea came to you. Happened? That's what Stuart Brown is saying is going to happen. So if it hasn't happened, maybe this is something you might just want to try out. Okay? So he's saying that's where it's happening. All right, and then the last one, super simple, continuation desire. So we desire to keep doing it, and the pleasure of that experience drives that desire, so we find ways to keep coming back to it. So those things that you say you love and those things that you say are your play, you want to keep doing it over and over again, and no matter what's happening or what's going on, you will find ways to keep coming back to it, right? So if it keeps pulling you in, then that's the continuation desire. Questions about these 7 qualities? I will say that Stuart Brown says that you can analyze play to death. He says, but unless you have the feeling behind it, it is meaningless. And this is, again, why we encourage you to engage in these activities so that you can reconnect with some of those positive emotions behind play. Okay, and I love this one. He says this, play is a state of mind rather than an activity. Because a lot of students, I get the joke. So if I go outside right now and I play jump rope, I'm going to have this magical moment. And again, it's all about retraining your brain and knowing that it's a state of mind. It's not just a specific activity that's going to bring out this creativity. It's going to be engaging in whatever activities that bring you joy. All right. Finally, he summarizes these qualities with this statement. So these qualities, these 7 qualities that we just talked about, they are what make play the essence of freedom. The things that most tie you down or constrain you, the need to be practical, to follow established rules, to please others, to make good use of time, all wrapped up in self-conscious guilt. These are all eliminated during play. So play is its own reward, its own reason for being. So I really like how he summarizes it there. We do use it for that, Spencer. So Spencer says, seen a lot of people call it procrastinating, and if that's the case, I'm a master procrastinator. So when we talked about these, when I told you guys to think about your core beliefs and what you thought about play, I get that argument a lot though. Where does play stop and addiction starts? Where does play stop and procrastination starts? And Stuart Brown doesn't talk a lot about their walking. He does talk about balance, but there is that fine line that we walk and where it crosses that line of procrastination or even addiction too. So absolutely. So I was hoping you guys were going to think about that. Something I noticed while doing streaming is that your state of mind changes when you see the impact you make being on the platform. Absolutely. Amanda, when you do not get anything else done. Absolutely. When it's affecting everything else in your life, that's when we've crossed the line. I think it's because each of us have different lines based on personalities, beliefs, and life's events. Absolutely, Sarah. And that's why he talks about a lot in the book, too. He talks about that he really, really didn't want to define play because it is so different for each person, depending on their different contexts. But he really felt like he had to come up with some, defining elements to be able to continue with his research and obviously to be able to present it to people. Can't go into a room full of researchers and say, so I want to talk to this idea about play, because you would get a million questions about what is it, right? So that's why he felt like he had to define it. Amanda, I've heard that a lot. Well, encourage her to take it with you. Share these ideas. Absolutely. All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about is some different play personalities. And as we go through these, I want you to think about which one fits your type of play. What's interesting as we go through these is that some students will realize that they have been engaging in a type of play that they didn't even realize was even play. Not one single one of us is a single perfect example of a single play personality type. So you're not going to look at one of these and be like, oh yeah, that's me, and none of the rest of them apply. Usually you can find yourself in quite a few different personality types. And it's not to pigeonhole anyone in a single box. It's just a fun way to kind of look at the different ideas of play. And you'll see that you probably have a dominant type, but people find themselves playing different roles depending on their context that they're in. All right, so here is the 8 different play personalities. We got Joker, Kinesthete, Explorer, Competitor, Director, Collector, Artist, Creator, and Storyteller. And so I'll just give you guys a quick summary of these. Again, these are all in your reading too. Yes, Francisco, you can absolutely do that. You can just submit another one. All right. So the first one is the Joker. So the Joker play personality is obviously that person who loves to make everyone laugh. They find the humor in all life. Usually you have that class clown in the group, right? Everyone knows the Joker personality. But what we don't think of when we think of this Joker personality is also they're the person that wants to lighten the mood. These are the people that see things in a different perspective. So there's always that person in the group that if something bad is happening, this is that person that you can call or talk to, and they can flip a script like no other. They can reframe a situation or make you feel better once you get off the phone. They are that person that can definitely make you see a different side. So, Amanda, not always. There's definitely a time and a place for Joker. I definitely find that a group that has a combination of all these different play personalities is definitely a benefit. And I will have to say that I am the Joker in my group of friends. I'm usually the only one laughing at my jokes in class, but with my friends, they think I'm funny. Or maybe they just laugh because they're my friends. But I definitely am, and it's probably because of my years in psychology, but I'm definitely good about seeing things in a different perspective and being able to reframe different situations. Where's my jokers? Who's my jokers? I see a lot of me's. I think somebody said that they're that person in the group. They love bringing people up. I missed who it was. Ryan said guilty. I'm not even going to lie, you guys. The jokers in the classrooms, they make for a fun class. So I enjoy this personality, but that's probably because I have this personality in me. Yeah, and Brandon said I have my moments. Absolutely. It depends on where I'm at, who I'm with. Yes, there is no better therapy than laughter, Brandon. I couldn't agree more. So there's quite a few. I'm just the person who makes everyone feel better. I'm not sure that's the Joker or just me being me. Yeah, might be a little bit in there, Chelsea. And again, this is all related to play. So if it's when you guys are getting together, and socializing is one of a huge form of play. I don't know if we've talked about that, but socializing with your friends and your family, that is play. And so if you're that person in a group that is always lightening the mood, then that very well may be your play personality if that's the role that you play when you're with your friends and family. Mine too, Sarah. Sarah said my humor is more based on sarcasm, so usually only my friends find me funny. Me too. All right. Kinesthete. So the kinesthete is someone who gets pleasure from physical activity. They love to be in motion. They love to move. This is the athletes, and they love games. They love dancing. They love exercising. And the interesting thing is that kinesthetes, they play sports, but they may play sports, but competition is not the main focus. So that's more the competitors that we'll get to in a second. But they love sports just because it's a way for them to engage in their favorite activity. It's a way for them to push and to move their bodies, not necessarily because they love keeping score. And the other thing about a kinesthete too is a lot of kinesthetes need to move in order to think. So for me, I'm also a kinesthete. I love to pace. I'm a pacer. If I'm sitting in this chair, which I'm doing right now, just like I did, sometimes my words will get stuck. But when I'm up and I'm pacing around, it definitely helps me be able to think better. Where's my kinesthetes? Ricky said the thing about being the Joker is knowing the time and place. Absolutely. Do I have any kinesthetes who love pushing their body, who love physical activity? They love dancing, exercising, sports. Amanda says, I think better when I move. Yeah. And a lot of that, again, is related back to our brain. Climbing, absolutely. Skateboarding. pace back and forth. That's why my house is always clean. All right, so there's only a few kinesthetes. Interesting. Alyssa said gamers usually don't move. Oh, Ryan's a kinesthetic learner. Okay. Yeah, and it could be connected to your play personality too. Yeah, I can't sit still either. All right, so the next one is the explorer. So there's two types of explorers. There's the physical explorer and there's the mental explorer. So the explorers are always curious about the world. They love the adventure of exploring it, whether that's the physical world or the mental world, the intellectual world even. So the physical explorer is going to be that person who loves going to new places. They love traveling. They love trying new things. And then the mental explorer, too, these are the people that love reflecting on emotions. They love researching new subjects. They love discovering new experiences. These are the people who love um, to read and learn new things. They also might be someone who loves to journal. Definitely self-awareness is high with the mental explorer. So they might be someone who enjoys journaling on a daily basis. That goes with the emotions part. Where's my explorers? Andy says, I'm a mixture of mental and physical explorer, taking pictures on nature while you're walking on a trail. Yes, absolutely. I got a bit of explorer of both, Erica says. Somebody said, Tyler, that's me. I'm a flower child. I bullet journal, hike, and snowboard. Absolutely. I bullet journal too. In theory, I'm an explorer. Amanda says, hiding, drawing, sketching, painting. Absolutely. And you're going to see those fall into a different play personality too. They definitely overlap here, and that's why I said a lot of them will overlap with others. Hiking, absolutely. All right. So the next one is the competitor. The competitor, they have they love all form of games and competition, whether it's personal or work. The thrill of play for the competitor is they love to win, right? It doesn't matter whether it's athletics, whether it's video games, whether it's the stock market, it doesn't matter. They just want to keep score and they want to be at the top of the scoreboard. Erica said, I am extremely competitive. Their fun comes from being in the top spot. Where's my competitors? Competitive all the way, Andy says. Chelsea, sounds like my friends Ghost and Tony, sports and games. Somebody said I'm the best competitor. Ryan said 100%. Oh, Lauren said I hate competing. Greatness is my middle name, Brian says. And Brian, yeah, I'm a mix of the joker and competitor. That's a fun mix, Ricky. Um, Definitely a fun, healthy mix, I think, too. Someone who's competitive but has fun doing it. I don't really have a competitive bone in my body, but I married a very competitive man, and now my children are both all competitive. So playing a game of somebody just said that I get mad when I lose Monopoly. I was going to say playing a game of Monopoly in my house is not fun when you're the only person that's not competitive. I'm sorry, it's fun for them, for the three of them, not me so much. Table flipping game. Look, there are so many competitors. You guys could have all kinds of fun. You guys know why? They got into an argument the other day playing the game of life. That's how competitive they are. There's not even really that much strategy in that game. And I already told you about all the Fortnite happening, so yeah. All right. The next one is the director. So the director, this is the person in your group or you who enjoys planning. They love coordinating. They love organizing events. They love organizing people. They love the leadership power. So they like being in control. And whether that's a company, a family, a movie, a country, whatever it is, it's that person that really loves being in that leadership role. That is fun for them. Do we have any directors? There's always that person in the group that can make you an itemized agenda for whatever experience you're going on, right? Jordan said me. Ryan said, I wish I was more of a director. Yeah, I'm not either, but we do have one in our group of friends. Jesse said, I can be one when necessary. Yeah, definitely. So it looks like we know more than, there's only a couple in here. Now, these people love it. So this is their play. So if you don't enjoy it, then this would not be your play personality type. Now, if you just have to do it, it's different. But these people actually enjoy planning and coordinating things. Can't say I love it either. All right. So the next one is the collector. And so the thrill of play for the collector is to have the biggest, baddest collection of whatever they're whatever it is. It could be objects or experiences, but they want to have the biggest, baddest collection that's out there, and that's what they find their thrill in, whether it's objects or experiences. They may collect things as a solitary activity, so it's just something they collect and they never share their collection with anyone, or these collector play personalities may be a part of a community where they share their collections with others or people who have similar obsessions. Video game collection, me and Fallout. My husband, so many guitars, amps, drums, it drives me nuts. Now you know that's his play personality, though. See, and when we know it, these things, it definitely helps us understand why. I have a collection of Nintendo collectibles, Jesse said. Ryan said, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to collecting everything in games. Yeah, I hear that one a lot. 1,000 bells in her house. That's an interesting one, Amanda. I haven't heard that collection before. Cool pictures from antique stores, collections of POP. Interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's their type of play. They find joy in collecting and displaying these things. So again, a lot of times this is one of the ones that people don't even realize that that is their type of play when we get to that one. The next one is the artist or creator. So this joy is found in making things. This might be they enjoy fixing things, decorating, working with hands, so painting, woodworking, sculpting, any kind of art we were talking about earlier. Some of the more obvious ones too. Somebody talked about crocheting earlier, I think, knitting, sewing, furniture making, even gardening. You're creating something. Those are all this play personality. Or is there anyone who loves to take things apart? They like to deconstruct things and put them back together just to see how it works. That would also be the artist creator because you like working with your hands. Um, the point is just to make something or to make something work. So do I have artist creators? Oh, I see a lot of you. Right, me. Oh, the chat box is scrolling so fast. I paint houses for a living. It's all very therapeutic for me. Deconstructing is super fun just to put it back together and make new things. Ryan says, see, love it. Also, my husband takes all those things apart, loves setting up things such as electronics. I've built several computers. See, isn't it interesting when you put it into the mindset of play and you realize that all these different things that you're trying to figure out, which to you seems purposeless or pointless, it brings joy to someone else. And so now you realize that this is their way of engaging in play. I just think it helps. I think it helps to switch the kind of mindset a little bit. Paint and draw comics. Can't wait to learn blacksmithing. Ooh, that sounds fun, Ricky. All right. And then the last one is the storyteller. And I think the majority of Full Sail students can really find themselves in the storyteller play personality. So Stuart Brown says the imagination is the key to the kingdom of play. He says this plays personality, obviously, when you think of the storyteller, you think of, people who write books and playwrights and cartoonists and screenwriters. He says, but it's also those people whose greatest joy is also reading those stories and getting lost in those stories and watching those movies. So storytellers really, they love to use their imagination, whether they're creating something or whether they're just sharing in the story and using the imagination. So writers, performers, people who love to read and watch the stories and the movies. And so that's why I say the majority probably of Full Sail students can find themselves in some way or another connecting with this play personality, whether you're the one that's creating the story, whether that's through music or words or art, or whether you're the person that enjoys it. Stories and movies count. So I'm assuming that's probably the majority of us. Andy says, yes, definitely me, especially reading the stories and just getting lost for hours in a different place and with different characters. Same with video games. Absolutely. And you don't have to be a big reader. If you love movies or TV shows or games, you can definitely be a storyteller too. Or music. Definitely there's a story in most songs, right? All music has a story behind it. You can find a story in magic tricks, you guys. Acting, dancing, there's a story behind that. Um, Even lecturing as a teacher, hopefully they're telling you a story. No, not that one either, huh, Ricky? All right. So, sounds like we have quite the mix of personalities in this class. And as we were going through these, you probably found that you didn't realize some of these things were even types of play, like collecting things, like we said. But we find joy in the collecting process, so therefore it's play. So, did you guys learn anything about yourself that you didn't know today before today? Give you guys some time to think about that and type that up. I thought play with physical activity you had to move. You can't be serious. Ah, and now, so I think what you're saying, Amanda, is that I've opened that definition up a little bit. So now you know that there's a lot more options there. I'm arts and competitor. I always knew I was a joker. Andy, I'm not reading that one. There's no way that that's true. Oh, and was Andy the Joker? All right. So what I'm going to leave you with all today is just this idea. Play can help us find and express our own core truths. We are designed to find fulfillment and creative growth through play. So I encourage you definitely in the next few days to take some time and play, and just to see if you notice a difference in how you feel. And of course, share that with me on the discussion board. I realize my memes are productive. I love it, Lauren. See, gave it a sense of purpose. That's what I'm here for. Oh, good, Brandon. I love it. So this is going to be a successful month then. All right, so that is all I have. Hopefully this is what you learned today. That play has 7 defining qualities, that play is different for every player, and that discovering your play personality helps you to reconnect with play, which is hopefully something you guys will all take the time to experience this week. And I look forward to reading your discussion boards and hearing what kind of impacts it had on your week. And that is all that I have. So I'm going to turn off